Hey, it's Greg Sadler here. So, this is the monthly update video for October 2024. It's the 1st of October. I'm going to tell you about what went on in September, which is quite a lot, and what we've got coming up this month of October. I always like to begin by talking about three big things. So, big thing number one, if you've been watching my videos, you notice this is a different location. This is our new office, and I'm going to tell you all about it in just a bit. Big thing number two, the really large international Stoic event, StoicCon 2024, is happening later this month, October 19th, which is a Saturday. It's an all-day event, and you don't want to miss it. It's online, so you can participate from anywhere in the world. Big thing number three has to do with something that Scott Terulli and I did in September, and that is an interview for the classic metal class with Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, who is a friend of Scott's. So a lot of really cool stuff that happened, a lot of cool stuff happening, and let me tell you next about September. So obviously the biggest thing that happened in September is we have moved out of the apartment that we lived in the Boston lofts for the last 9 years, and we kind of split things. We were working from that apartment. Now we actually have an office here in the Global Water Center in Milwaukee. You notice I've already got quite a few of the bookshelves up, the chalkboard here. You can't see the whole thing, but maybe you will a little bit later on. And that was a monster of a move. We also moved to a new living space in the 3rd Ward in a condo right on the Riverwalk. And I'll probably show you some stuff once we've actually got that set up. We're living out of boxes right now because we had to be out yesterday, and the move, it didn't go entirely according to plan. I've been prepping stuff for a very long time, but as usual, things did not go entirely according to plan. And for the last 3 days, my wife and I, along with some professional movers, have been doing a lot of work. So that's a really major change. And you're going to see a lot of stuff happening from now on. This is where I'm going to be filming videos. Some of them will be in front of that chalkboard once again, and some will be in front of bookshelves, and we'll do some other stuff as well. So a lot of cool stuff coming up there. We did have a few events last month, AMA as usual. I did my usual philosophy chat. And as I mentioned in the three big things, classic metal class this time around, we had a superstar, Buck Dharma, one of the co-founders, lead guitarist, lyricist, writer for Blue Oyster Cult. Just an amazing interview. The guy is so cool and humble. So, the link to that is below. You can check it out. Dan and I, that's Dan Hayes, my co-host for Wisdom for Life. We did a show as well that the video is up for about how to keep your head in this time of political news and elections and stuff like that. How can you apply some philosophical techniques to keep your emotions from running away with you? And I didn't end up doing some of the other events that I had planned, in part because of the move. No speculative fiction studies this last month. But, it's been a very, very busy time. In addition to the whole move, I've been teaching 5 classes that are in full swing. One is in my Study with Sadler Academy, and that is on Friedrich Nietzsche's Genealogy of Morals. And then I've got 2 classes at Marquette University, both Foundations of Philosophy, and 2 classes with Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design. One is a 300-level writing class, writing for professionals. It's actually the creative professional in context, and that's been a lot of fun. And then the other one is about Ursula K. Le Guin's Earthsea stuff. We've been using this massive 5-pound book as our textbook for that, and we're working our way Through that, we've finished up with the first 2 books of the 6 books of Earthsea, along with a few other stories as well. And I've, been working with clients a lot, doing a lot of writing. I also filled in quite a bit with volunteer shifts at Almost Home Cat Rescue, in part because, we're getting into the swing of fall, and I think a lot of people weren't available, so I took on quite a few shifts. And, it's always nice for me to get to hang out with the cats. I did a lot of video work this month. You may have seen my Sadler Telling Stories videos about my encounter with Claude Monet's water lilies at the Musée de l'Orangerie in Paris when I was a young man. I also released one recently about Uncle Father John, a very important guy. Jean-Marie Lemry is a Claretian priest, and my great uncle, my Uncle John was named after in a cool story about the tattoos that he got of the Sacred Heart and the Immaculate Heart on his shoulders, and why he did that. I started a new video series. Actually, it's not completely new. I did one video in it many, many years ago about 19th century philosophy, and I've decided to start doing more of those because people have been asking for them. So I did one on existentialist philosophy and literature, which the link to is below. You can check it out. I also had something kind of funny happen that I turned into a video. You may remember about a month and a half ago, I gave a talk about Immanuel Kant and, philosophers in the midst of history sequence, and it got demonetized. And why did it get demonetized? Dirty language, inappropriate language, right? Because the C word sounds a lot like the K word. And so I did a video about that, which interestingly did not get demonetized, in part because I specifically pronounced it as can't, right? I also did a quick takes video that was inspired by one of my clients and friends about how to tell if you're making progress in philosophy. I finished up with the sequence for the time being on Jorge Luis Borges's short stories. I'll probably be returning to him maybe later on this year, maybe next year. And I did some core concept videos, 2 different sequences, one on Karl Popper's Towards a Rational Theory of Tradition. I've been sort of revising my views on Popper. One of my clients wanted to work on him, so we did that. And I really liked that essay. Another on John Wisdom's famous essay, which is often only a little bit excerpted, called simply Gods. And it's a really great one, a classic in the philosophy of religion. I did some, work in the Sadler's Lectures podcast, Ursula K. Le Guin's Tales from Earthsea. I think it's about 14 videos or podcast episodes that I converted from videos for that. I also found some Nicomachean ethics stuff that I hadn't actually converted to podcasts, so I did those as well. And then similarly, I found some stuff on Kant's groundwork that I'd done core concept videos on, but I hadn't turned them into Sadler's Lectures podcast. So I've been doing that with them as well. And I did one episode of the Mind and Desire podcast, which is for my Substack subscribers. They get released to the general public, and I did release some older podcasts in that series this month as well. So that's what happened this month of September. Biggest thing, of course, new digs, new office, and the move. What's going to be happening in October? Well, as you can tell, I'm not entirely set up here. You see all the boxes behind me. I've got to unload all of those. I've got more bookshelves to fill up. We've got a ton of stuff that we got to do. And then I'll be able to get up and running, filming, hopefully by the end of this week. I've got to get caught up on some other stuff as well that the move put me a little bit behind on, including sleep. And my muscles have to recover from being sore as well. But we got some events coming up, not as many as most months, in part because of the just amazing amount of energy that the move takes. So there won't be any heavy metal class. There won't be any Worlds of Speculative Fiction. Those will be coming back in November. But we do have on the 5th at noon our usual AMA, which I'll be doing, I think, from here. And then at 2 o'clock, we've got a philosophy chat, which I'll be doing with my Patreon supporters. Then fast forward 2 more weekends to the 19th, and we have the big international Stoicon. I have been one of the co-organizers. Harold Kavli, fortunately, is doing most of the organizing, and we also have Brittany Palat and Phil Yanoff, 2 other members of the Modern Stoicism team who are doing a lot of the other heavy lifting as well, and I'll be emceeing parts of it. I'll also be, running a panel about cosmopolitanism, which is the big theme of the conference, Stoicism, and prison education. And so, that is a free online conference. Of course, it's suggested that you make some sort of donation, but you can actually participate. You can get a ticket, which will allow you to participate for free. I mean, ideally, you'd chip in a little bit because Modern Stoicism does a lot of great work, the organization. But it's going to be a really great lineup. You can see the link to it below, to the Eventbrite. So, mark your calendar. The 19th is the day to go online and learn all about Stoicism. It's great for beginners. It's great even for advanced people. Everybody will learn something of use to themselves. And then finally, we'll wrap up the month on the 26th, which is another Saturday at noon, with the Understanding Anger 2.0. I know I've been putting this off for a while, but we are going to get back into Seneca's On Anger, and so that will actually happen this month, fate willing, and that should be a lot of fun. I'm going to be, quite busy fixing all this office stuff up. I still have my classes going on, writing to do. I'm already doing volunteer shifts again at the cat shelter, and I'll be working with a lot of people on their stuff as well. Video work, I have been, meaning to get to book reviews. I do those in front of the bookshelf. I'll be doing some of those later on this month once everything again is set up and we've got the, tripod set up and the camera and all of that. I'm also going to do a video giving you a tour of this office and maybe a little bit of the building as well, so you can get an idea of where we are now. I've got some more Sadler stories, videos that I want to shoot, and maybe another quick take this month. Core concept videos, I'm going to be doing 2 main things. One is the famous university discussion that took place mid-century Britain about theology and falsification. That was a really interesting discussion that was prompted by John Wisdom's Gods, which is why I shot videos on that last month. And I'm also going to finally get to the core concept video series on Seneca's On Tranquility. And I'll also be releasing a video that I shot last month but didn't get around to releasing on key thinkers in ancient philosophy, key thinkers and movements, all the way up to Aristotle's Lyceum. I thought that was a good stopping point. And so we've got a lot of great video stuff ahead for you. Also podcast stuff. I'm doing some more Mind and Desire podcast episodes. And within the Sadler's Lectures podcast, I'll be finishing up Kant's groundwork and then starting Seneca's On the Happy Life, which I'm already releasing to my Patreon supporters later on today. So if you're interested in getting an early release, first download of those episodes, you might want to consider becoming a Patreon supporter. It's a good way to give back if you've derived any benefit from the work that I do. And then I've got to knock out a bunch of podcast episodes on the sixth Earthsea novel, The Other Wind by Ursula K. Le Guin. And I think that will probably be enough for this month coming up. So a lot of great stuff coming up. I hope that you are going to have a great month of October. Hopefully you can join us for these online events, especially StoicCon 2024. It is something you don't want to miss. So that's what's ahead, and hopefully I'll see you down the line.